One Thanksgiving I was all alone, and of course they don't celebrate Thanksgiving in Brazil, so he stayed up and we IM'd each other back and forth, and he told me this story about his mother. This is called Messier 35. You recall the memory for me about when your hands were covered with purple earth, when you cut your mother's existence into the canvas, a blossoming repetition you couldn't explain. Helio came in, unfolded his celestial compass onto the floor, heavens strewn across the earth almost as amazing as in the sky. And he tells you, she is here. A long, slender finger pointing to a bundle of stars. She is sitting at the foot of Gemini. And still, you can feel her hand upon you, her fingers lightly touching your hair. You tell this moment with glorified innocence, taking sun with a tortoise and a dog, hummingbirds hovering over your face, unafraid and close, their jeweled bodies reflecting onto oiled skin. In my winter, I consider how time is the ultimate master, ordering light at one end of an arm, darkness at the other. His fingertips, great magnets moving worlds separately until converged in one. I imagine you lying there on baked earth, your dark hand resting on the turtle's rough shell, the dog panting softly in your ear, with birds in your eyes. You are St. Francis of Assisi calling them, waiting for the solemn whisper of night to return your mother home.
Woo! All right.
Countenance. The Haitian is always smiling, gliding generic canned goods over the scanner with the expanse of his solid obsidian right hand. Lips march out unevenly down the line of registers, the noise consistently inconsistent until the drone of it is musical. He stands in the express lane closest to the door. He is never at another register, and I find myself putting back cans of peas and boxes of cereal to qualify getting into his line. His left arm ends at the wrist. 5 tiny nubs protrude like creamy pink baby toes that have no strength or purpose, and it is this that draws me in. Jittering in my skin, needing to ask him the question, I am caught staring at the absence of a hand. I sheepishly fumble with my wallet, having broken the countenance of his smile. This one's called My Town. My town has given up on God and love in that order. The shelves at the thrift store are filled with lost affection, lost inspiration. Their pockets fill deep with trinkets and baubles worn with the age of many owners, and they believe it will mask despair in the face of a failing community. We covet false promises like gold in my town. Beating her chest. I tell my heart to shut up. Stop lingering where she doesn't belong, beating in directions she shouldn't for the sake of morality and social customs. But she never listens to nay, never turns an ear to the voice of reason, never can remember each time she has been cut and stabbed or stolen from the wrinkled edge of my green shirt sleeve. She calls out my name, yelling about personal freedoms and how I never let her spread her love around. How I keep her caged for the properness of it, as she raises her fists to the chains that bind her fast to one lonely soul for all eternity. She begs me to understand that feeling love makes it real, despite my glooming cloud of self-made guilt hovering over us both. She starts beating her chest again, hard and fast so I can't ignore her, reminds me that love never dies or shrivels or stays in one place for very long. But each time I find it lying on my doorstep, on the radio, in the grass, on his face, in her eyes, on a kiss. That the rush of it can still overwhelm me. The warmth of it feels as good as the first time it was tasted. I wrote after reading a poem about body image from Tammy Foster Brewer from a book called No Glass Allowed, which was made by the incomparable Amanda Oakes. Yes, it's a great book. And it's called Dias Illa. Yes, I was her. That girl stuffed into a mold too small, her mind convinced her expanse greater than the plains. I lived a double life, the secret second binging on food with room lock latched, the contraband of my desires slowly rotting under the bed. It would go down easy at first, a slow trickle and burn like a first kiss that turns to bite you bloody in the end. I'd force it in then, damage done, to bury it into a stomach stretched to the limit. The void still gaping in the dusk of teenage summers. There I am naked with the mirror, my enemy. Shadows mock flesh and curve. Mouth full, tears avenge cheeks with hate found in every inch of reflection. Breasts uneven, imperfect. Arms doughy, imperfect. Waist full and hips thick, imperfect. Legs less than feminine, imperfect. I am unrecognizable. There are several shades of disgust gathering on my tongue, none of which would stand up for me if called upon. They'd laugh outside courtroom doors, snide and perfectly jaded, feeding the illusion of perfect to me, one dainty morsel at a time. When it is all swallowed, soul and all, and the lacrimosa is on its final string, I cover up my discretions and pretend to be normal. Okay, this one's called Nothing Ever Changes. Your eyes don't have a season of heat, burning through meticulously placed bronze shields, molten meadow under intense stare, alternating into wistful, jaded fantasy. Your nose doesn't have a season of heat, sniffing out every insecurity and temptation and will ready to break, smelling her excitement before she feels it herself. Your mouth doesn't have a season of heat, tongue sliding along the cheek of imagination, all angles of the female body an Everest to climb without a safety net. Your smile doesn't have a season of heat, with its curled corners and beckoning words, poison laced in promises, dripping with malcontent and finding every Achilles heel. Your teeth don't have a season of heat, all those white enameled bone daggers sinking deeper into conjured tight muscles, tearing pieces of soul, creating caverns for the next one. Your tongue doesn't have a season of heat, rough cells dragging over skin's clenched excitement, tasting genetic history and failures, instilling waves of fight or flight. Your fingers don't have a season of heat, tap-tapping the looking glass, the baseline of jazz itself, manipulating flesh and air as paper, courting legendary precision and a seamless blow. You don't have a season of heat, constantly pushing perpetual intent into every crevice. Somewhere there is surrender. Somewhere there is defeat. Somewhere there is proof no good deed is left unpunished.
Yeah.
And I wrote this in honor of Sharon Olds. She is amazing, publishing her first book at my age when some think no hope is seen in dark tunnels. But her words ring cadence, no less than a stroll in the park, stopping or pausing at fallen leaves and lovers' blankets. We are reminded how much hindsight spurns us into wanting time machines and magic wands to change hard moments, to change history out of existence. Sometimes I want to slip outside myself like that, eloquent and grand with words, falling into poems that allow the freedom to be another, to take those moments without commitment or bravery, to lie in it for a long breath or a heaved sigh, staring out the window into snow.